Welcome. You are at the CCC.
Where there are no outside issues. My name is Anthony. I'm an addict and an alcoholic, another bozo on the bus, and I care about you.
And I'm LouiLou. My pronouns are he and him. I'm recovering for crystal meth and alcohol, and I am always in search of balance. Yes, and each week we strive to foster a brave state so we can engage in conversations centered around topics of recovery.
And our intention is to hold and inspire better spaces for more people in recovery by tackling issues sometimes used to separate us.
But before we do that, please like, share, and rate this episode.
Share, subscribe, tell your friends about us.
Do what you do.
Do what you do. You know, if you gossip about the podcast.
Absolutely.
If you spread the good word, include us in your good word. And now the disclaimer: the thoughts and opinions expressed on at the CCC are ours alone. We do not represent anyone but ourselves. In other words, we're just a couple of friends behind a mic here to entertain you. And of course, everything we talk about is for general information purposes only.
General information.
General information.
Yeah.
How
you doing?
I'm okay.
Same here. I'm okay too.
What makes you say you're okay?
It was a long week, but it's like, it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I heard someone say, I don't know if I shared it on before. Okay. So, there are usually 5 things I can celebrate about life, and there's usually 5 things that I can complain about. So
Sure.
I try to meet somewhere in the middle.
Okay. Oh, I thought you were going to share what those 5, 10 things
No,
are.
what I'm saying is like, So it's 10 things, but it's like, because I think the go-to, and I think it's a very San Francisco thing to complain. Like, I complain about the weather. I complain about it when it's hot, when it's cold, when it's raining or whatever. But it's not that I'm really complaining about it. It's just, I'm just complaining just to talk. Just to fill empty space, which is absolute nonsense. So I've been working at not complaining because I realized, whether or not I know it or not, I am really kind of shaping the energy. I'm having a hand in how, I don't want to be that person. I want everybody to be happy.
Hear, hear.
Yeah. I
mean, happy's good, but we need variety.
Well, oh yeah. Well, I completely get it. It's like and I love this saying, in every life some rain has got to fall. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
But it's like, and I didn't expect to always be happy sober, but it's like I realized that, it's different than before. Like when I was sad or going through or whatever, like, how you're in something, you don't feel like you're ever going to get out of it.
Ugh, yes.
Yeah. So it's like,
yes.
So that's not the case. It's like the worst is when I'm angry about something and I'm holding on to it and I know I should just let it go, but I don't want to. I'm like, yeah, that's that righteous, like, or that self-righteous anger.
Yeah.
That they talk about.
Yeah. I feel that. I mean, I've been kind of holding, well, I don't know if I want to talk about that during this episode, but
I know it's like there's like truth serum for you.
Yeah, it is like truth serum.
We'll talk about it after.
Yeah. And since y'all are listening to us, I just turned my chair so I could look directly at Louis.
Oh, here. Yeah. I'm going to turn mine too.
Well, because we're not.
Hi, honey.
Hey,
oh my
sweetheart.
God, I love you.
I love you more.
You're my favorite.
You're my favorite. I have to tell you about my weekend.
Oh, please do.
So my friend just had a bachelorette, and she's absolutely wonderful.
This is the friend that always plans your...
That's my friend. No, you're thinking of my friend Melissa. This is my friend Ruth.
Okay, nice.
So I was hanging out with my friend Ruth.
The Book of Ruth.
The Book of Ruth. Ruth is just a wonderful person. She and Melissa and Denise have been like my ride or dies for a really long time. They've always had my back, and so we went, and it was going to be the first time that there was this like merging of her friend groups. And her friend group, there were very big partiers. They were like smoking weed and drinking. And like, I remember when we first got there, we went to the grocery store and they bought like all this liquor. And I'm like, there's only so many of us here. Like, who's this all for?
Yeah.
Alas.
Why are you shocked or surprised? It sounds to me like all of her friends are all the same, just on different ends of the spectrum.
What you mean?
Because you used to be like that.
What are you saying?
What am I saying?
Oh, yeah. I used to be an active addict and alcoholic.
They're on the same spectrum. It's like, they're no different. It's just
I think there is a difference here because she didn't know me when I was drinking and using.
No, but it doesn't matter.
What are you saying?
She maybe is attracted to folks that don't have any limits.
know.
You still don't have limits. You just are controlling. You're not wanting to have limits.
Okay, first off, you haven't even listened to the rest of my story.
Tell me the story. Tell me the story.
So in the book of Lewis. Okay, so we were out and I was just, the takeaway of this is I felt hyper aware of my sobriety and knowing what I know about them based on like things that Ruth has told me, I was thinking to myself like, oh, I think they're like actually controlling themselves a lot because we're here. And so I felt like they couldn't fully enjoy themselves because there was a sober person here. And because I wasn't drinking, my closest friends, like they had one drink. Meanwhile, they were like drinking and smoking weed throughout the entire day. And like someone brought shrooms. I mean, I was like, oh, y'all were really trying to have a weekend, you know? And so my friend Melissa and I, and my friend Denise, we decided we were going to leave a little early, so that they could enjoy themselves.
Are Melissa and Denise, are they sober?
They're not sober, but they're like very responsible drinkers. Okay, and I don't think either one of them has ever like touched a drug outside of drinking. How did
your friend feel about you leaving early?
You know, she knew I was going to leave early. She didn't know that Melissa and Denise, because Melissa and Denise decided last minute that they were going to leave around the same time that I did. And I think she liked the idea of she was happy that we were there, but you know, the friends that were there were her like childhood friends.
Yeah. I mean, that's the perfect, in my mind, that's the perfect kind of solution to that. It's like, I showed up for you, but I'm going to go so that you can really kind of.
Yeah. I mean, that's not what I communicated to her. And so the reason why I don't agree with your like
assessment
is because I feel like the groups represent different parts of her life.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So she met us like in her professional world and like her professional life, and she's known her friends since childhood.
Yeah, but she's still underneath it. The reason, what I was saying.
What are you saying? Tell me.
It's gonna be far off, but it's like there's still something about you being an addict and alcoholic that is attractive to her.
Probably, I don't know.
You know, maybe what it is, it's not the drinking and the using or whatever. It's the other stuff that we have to deal with once we get to that emotional.
Well, you know, the other thing is that I really liked all her friends. I really did like all of them. And I just felt like I couldn't access them.
Yeah.
Like it was hard to connect and hard to access because they were drunk and high the whole time. And it just made me so appreciative for the people the sober people that I have in my life who aren't gone because they're drinking and smoking.
Yeah, that's true.
And I came back and I felt so thirsty for like connection, you know, and then like I was at Angel's thing this past week. Well, just yesterday.
The coronation.
Yeah, the coronation, the step down.
I was supposed to go, but it's like I told you, it's like my back was doing a number and Minnie doesn't show up. Like
she has pain. Yeah.
Well, there was no way I could show up like and really be there fully present.
Yeah.
You know, and Linda was lovely. She understood. She sent me a nice little note. She said, I hope that you're okay. You motherfucker. No, but Seone was able to fill in. I'm all,
Seone was there.
Nice fill-in black person.
I love her.
I do too. She's amazing, and it worked out beautifully. And the song was more suited for her. Like she rocks everything.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
So shall we ease into today's topic?
Let's ease in.
So today's topic is what's love got to do with it and recovery. So we'll be talking today about love in all the different spaces: platonic love, romantic love for community. And just how important it is to, in one way, I think reshaping what love looks like.
Absolutely.
I think,
absolutely.
I'm curious, Louis, about how have your ideas of love changed since you got sober? You're quite hateful.
Well, you know what? So one thing I understand, and it's been a process, but I get to love people the way I'm going to love them.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean that I'm going to get that love back. And you've shown me that clearly.
What do you... Ooh, you got me. That was real smooth. That was very smooth.
I'm here for you. Okay? Yeah. But no, but one of the things that I want to do, kind of like being a person with integrity, I want to be how I am and not have somebody's inability to kind of meet me where I'm at caused me to want to change that. Meaning, like, I'm going to love you regardless of whether or not you can love me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to love you from across the street. I was sharing at a meeting, and I said, well, sometimes I love people from across the street. So if you see me across the street waving at you,
that's me loving you.
That's me loving you. It's like, well, and so I've also learned that I have to be mindful. There are some people like, and it gets all weird that if I'm not careful, my love can be toxic, and I have to and I have to keep watch of that. You know, like some of the things that I called love, or the things that I was doing for people, whatever, in the name of love. You know, maybe it wasn't love; it was controlling. It was there were other things you could call it. And so
So what I'm hearing you say is that once you got sober, you had to expand what it meant to love.
Oh, absolutely.
Love in the kind of broadest sense of the word. And when you say loving someone from across the street, what I'm hearing you say is like understanding what your limitations are.
Setting clear boundaries.
Yeah. And boundaries, I think it's important to know that boundaries are an expression of love.
Oh, absolutely. I think once people, like initially, when people were setting boundaries with me, I was offended. I'm like, how dare you? But you know, when I set boundaries with you, clearly, it shows that I want you. I love you, and I want you. And I'm trying. Yeah.
Yeah. You're preserving relationships.
And really, it's like, it's one of those things that we do, like, without knowing sometimes. All those people who set boundaries for me, they kind of inspired me to kind of focus on what was important with me. I heard it said, boundaries show me where I end and you begin. And so that's pretty cool.
I love that. Yeah, so expanding.
How about you?
What about me? I forgot we were recording. I was like, we're just chatting.
I know, we're just chatting. It's like, I'm all.
How about me? You know, the first things that come to mind were I felt like when I think back to, I love this question.
I know, it was your question. It's a lovely question.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that was clever.
I
When before I got sober, I was in a lot of pain all the time. So I was always in relationships that didn't work out. I was with people who were emotionally unavailable. And I was constantly angry and I was constantly seeking. You know, I was like just so starved. And this was true when I dated like girls and guys. I think it's important
you
to
dated girls?
When I was younger, I did.
I know. I've talked.
So I came out when I was 14, but I had this.
Did they use strap-ons with you?
No.
I loved them.
My first love was a girl. Her name was Tamira, and then Anyway, I bring that up to say that it didn't matter what the gender of the person was. I had a type. You know what I mean? Like I dated people, like I had an ex-girlfriend who like made out with my cousin or something like that. And anyway, she's not doing very well these days.
Oh, okay.
No tea, no shade toward her.
You say your type, they were shady?
No, emotionally unavailable. Emotionally unavailable.
That makes sense.
And what I was attracted to was like the anxiety they produced, right? So if they were unavailable, it made me really anxious and it made me feel really insecure. And so they became the poison and the antidote.
It was kind of an extension of what you knew.
Yeah, for sure. It was like I didn't have like the best love modeled for me growing up.
Absolutely.
So that's what I found. You know, my dad wasn't emotionally available when I was younger. You know how it goes. You know what I mean?
You know, back to your question too.
Yeah.
I'm learning that like platonic love is also a tool to teach me how to be ready for romantic love as well.
You know, let's come back to that. Okay. Let's make a note of that. So I want to finish answering your question.
Put that in the parking lot.
Yeah, put that in the parking lot. So the biggest changes that happened were like once I got sober and I started like looking at my own shit, that's when I finally learned like, oh, like the theme here is that I have romanticized anxiety. I've sexualized anxiety.
You mean to tell me you weren't looking at your shit before?
I was in therapy, but I don't think I was like, do you know what I'm trying to say?
I was looking at your shit in the bathroom.
What do you mean? Oh, you were.
It's like, I can't believe that came out of me.
You know, so, but here's the other thing is that looking back, I don't know that this is general, but I do think that all relationships are perfect relationships, right? People come together and they're perfectly aligned. Now, that doesn't mean that the relationship is healthy. It just means that you have people coming together who have certain needs and wants during that time, and they're being met in that relationship.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. And so I think every relationship can be a vehicle for like a deeper understanding of self and other.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we use people as vehicles, but I think that when people come into our lives, that can be a vehicle into self and other. So once I got sober, it took me a while to kind of shake some of that stuff off. You know, like I was still kind of, you know, my ex before Benji, I moved in with him just a couple months into our relationship. It was COVID time, so I justified it in that way. Makes sense. Yeah, but the point is that I had these behaviors, like I wasn't giving myself enough time to like get to know people. And to be fair, I was also like a fuckboy. Like there were also times where I was like the person who was not showing up to relationships and stuff like that. So, you know, a lot has changed, you know. Now it's like, even when I met Benji, it naturally unfolded, you know. I wasn't like looking for anything.
I love that you're using his whole name.
We are using his whole name.
Before he was like,
he was a mystery. He was a ghost.
A mystery. It was like you could sit back and you could put the puzzle together just listening to episodes. But of course, I always made sure to say, "Oh, gee, are we going to mention relationships again?" No. I'm such a.
So yeah, that's how it's changed for me. And so like you, I think I've expanded like how I see love. So let's go back to this idea of platonic love. So you were saying platonic love sets you up for romantic relationships.
Well, because, okay, so you know how I am with this idea of a romantic love? Like, I know that at some point it's going to be something that I want, or whatever. But I would see friends before and in recovery, always getting in relationships and thinking, and I still have moments where I go back to, oh God, I should be in a relationship. And when I think I'm in my right mind, and when I'm at peace, I'm clear that I'm just where I need to be. And I am, and this is where I go to these platonic relationships, because I'm in love with my friends, not in love like maddening way that, you know, can change your brain chemistry. But I love people. You know, you know that shift when you get to know people, and it's like, come on, you know, we vibe. And so I think that it's almost like the difference between it getting paid for a job and volunteering.
I love that. I love that, because I was just thinking about one of the things I'm trying to stop doing on the podcast is that I realized I say like a lot.
Because you're from California? But you've been in California for a long time.
I've been here for over 15 years.
You say like more than I do.
Yeah. So I've been trying. I was like, oh, wow. Why do I say like a lot?
Too. It's like, come on, you're making me think about now.
Oh, yeah. That reminds me of. Yeah. Well, I'm thinking about.
No, it's all good. Maybe we go back to stop beating yourself up for that. It's like,
well,
you want me to catch you every time you say like, but you just said like.
You punch me every time.
The worst is when I'm in a meeting and somebody's sharing from the floor, or they're the speaker, and I have to start counting the number of times they say, you know. So basically it wasn't a 20-minute share. It's probably a 5-minute share, but you say, you know, for half the time.
And you know where I think, like comes from for me?
What?
Is I think I adapted that years ago when I was taking this communications course, and they talked about what are called disfluencies. So disfluencies are like, those are disfluencies. And they said that disfluencies make you sound more genuine or sincere. But
really, I feel like.
But I don't think that's
pause. I feel like I respect the pause.
Yeah, I do. Well, we're also on a podcast.
Yeah, no, exactly.
We can't. We got to keep the words going.
I know exactly.
So we were saying platonic love, and. See, I lost track. I should have wrote it down. But you were talking about platonic love setting you up for romantic relationships.
Absolutely, because it's like, again, like, why wouldn't I? Okay, so you know how people say, oh, you're my best friend, we're in love or whatever. And I was thinking, it's like, okay, so do you need to have an idea of, or can you be platonically in love with your love partner?
So what I was just going to get at is, I was going to ask you, what's the difference between a platonic love and a romantic love? And some people would say it would be sex, it would be eros, right? Like it would be lust, it would, but then that also assumes that in order for there to be romantic love, there has to be sex. And I have very close relationships with people like my best friends where I'm not trying to have sex with my best friends.
But is it romantic love?
I don't think it's romantic. No.
So then it's platonic.
Well, I get
Why are you making it difficult?
Because what I'm saying, what I'm trying to get at here is that
maybe the potential for sex.
For romantic love?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know there's a distinction.
Yeah.
You know, I think I'm just critiquing a little bit.
No, I understand.
Because I think, yeah.
You don't want to be like, you don't want to leave people who might be asexual or whatever.
No, I'm just thinking about like queering love. Like, what does queer love look like? Which is like,
well, queer love, it looks any way we want it to look.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my point.
And so like there are bounds in heteronormative love, and queer love, if we do it right, breaks those and just can go this way and that way and whatever.
I'm looking up because I think it was like the Eskimos. They have a bunch of different words for love and different types of love.
Uh-huh.
I'm just looking that up. So yeah, you know, and I heard Pitbull recently. There was an interview with Pitbull, and he was saying that like the advice he got was that money couldn't buy happiness, but giving it away could.
Okay.
And I think that love is very similar to that.
Oh yeah. Well, I heard it said too that love is not love until you give it away. So it's like I'm all
with no expectation.
Yeah.
But there's such a fine line between, because I think there's a way that in some cases, when a person is giving away love, they kind of give too much of themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And so then they start abandoning themselves. Yeah. And that's not love. That's not helping anyone.
I think this is a time when it's kind of okay to want some sort of return.
What do you mean?
Like, I think that if you're paying attention and you're giving that love and giving it love and it's not being received, then you shift it. Like, that's when I say, oh, yeah, okay, this is when I'm going to love you from across the street, because apparently you can't appreciate what I have to give, and I need to give it to somebody who can appreciate it. You know, it's not that I need you to love me the way I love you, but if you can't even love me, you know, the basics, you can't even, then.
You know what's tough for me with that is that everyone experiences, and I've had this both in romantic relationships and platonic relationships, is that people experience love differently.
Oh yeah.
Everyone like experiences it differently and expresses it differently. And the thing that I've struggled with the most has been that I've been in relationships where, you know, I'm all in, you know, well, this is really, I'm thinking about my current relationship and my last one, actually, you know, all of them, where I'm all in and the way I show up doesn't feel like it's good enough. You know, it's like,
is that about you or about the other person? I mean, is the
yeah,
other person expressing that?
So I think part of that, you know, I don't know. I don't think there's an algorithm for finding the right partner. I also don't know that we find one partner. I mean, I have so many, you know, the fuck knows?
But going back,
yeah,
I know you're saying about that algorithm, but it's like, has it
them or a me thing?
Has it been that they tell you you're enough, that this is enough, and you don't believe it?
Well, I'll just give you examples.
Okay.
So examples are that I don't say it a lot.
As you don't say it a lot?
That I don't say it a lot, and that I am not physically affectionate.
Oh, so how do you show it? Because like there are some people who like say it,
but I am. The thing is that I am physically affectionate. I'm just not
as much as
super.
As much as they might want.
Right, and all of my exes were people who wanted to like be petted all the time.
Then this is where we learn that if that person is not able to, it's kind of like what I was saying. It's like if I know you're not going to be loving like me in the same way.
Yeah.
But if what you offer is not something that I feel comfortable or confident about, the responsibility is mine to make changes.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Right. Because I feel the common response to this would be like, oh, well, you just haven't met someone who, you know, loves the way you love. To your question, like, how do I show love? And this is for all types of relationships. I don't want to borrow from the love languages because the writer of that book is problematic. But the way that I express love is I do engage in acts of service. You know, like I love doing a thing for a friend. Listeners, Louis is doing something really crude with the mic right now. But you know, like acts of service. Like I'm the kind of person, like if we're close, you need me to like proofread something, or you need me to write something for you, or you need an ear, or you want help cooking, I'll make you something. You know what I mean? I'll help you move.
If that's the case, I think the best possible person to be with is someone who gets that this is how, you know, who's meeting you somewhere with that, like understanding that.
I also like time is a big one for me. I love giving people, like if I love you, I'm going to make time.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and for some people that isn't enough. For some people they need a lot of sex. Some people need a lot of physical affection. And I'm not that kind of person.
That's when you like have those conversations in queer relationships about whether or not the relationship should be open. Like,
right. But there's also like, that, you know, there's also that. And also it just might be where I am in my life right now. This
is where this speaks. So I think it's our Virgo nature. It's like, it speaks so clearly to why, like, I'm not, every time I think I want to step over the edge and get into a relationship, I realize I really like my me time. I really like my time. I'm even at that place where with sex hookups, like I have to be very mindful because there are a few guys that like I'll have repeats with, but I also have to make sure that I have the energy and the like I'm in the right mindset. And so I think that for me it's fair, and it's, you know what, this is crazy. Okay, so there are folks that like I'm setting clear boundaries. Like I heard someone say, just because I have free time or just because I'm available doesn't mean that I'm available. Like some guy wanted to connect and he's like, so when are you normally free? And I realized that was not an easy question, because I can tell you when I'm normally off work but that does not mean that I am ready. I'm free to hook up.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of times where I am free to do what I like to do, is to lie on my bed and look at TikToks or to do nothing.
Yeah. And what you're describing to me is it's one of the biggest changes that I think I've experienced, which is there was a time when I was super consumed with like romantic, sexual, like connections. And now I value community a lot. Yeah, you know, I want to be in community. I love my friends. I love San Francisco. I love all the gay shit that's around us. Like I love our community. You know, I love our sober queer community. I love, you know what I mean? I do. I think we're dope ass people, you know, we're creative. Absolutely. We're like, there's just so much richness. And that's one of the biggest differences, is that I really value being out with friends and talking and connecting. And that's where I think, for me, life happens. Life happens in those moments. Yeah, that was one of the biggest differences when I came back from this weekend and I was at the event yesterday. There were a couple sober people there. Alex was there.
I know. It's like when I see my sober people in situations, especially in situations where it's not all sober, I'm safe.
Yeah, I felt like, oh my God, I'm connecting with these people, and arguably they've also been in my life for a really long time. Yeah, but exactly. it was just a very different. It was a different quality, and that's what I've grown to love. Is that I've grown to love community, and I have also, there's two things that I've learned too while being in recovery with respect to love is kindness doesn't cost you anything.
Oh, absolutely not.
And there is just something about like digging deep into the parts of myself that are like loving and caring and giving that like makes it multiply with inside of me.
Oh, you know what? Honestly, I always talk about like, you know, all of these years that I've been alive, it's like, I just don't give freely of who I am. But when I'm ready to give it, that's when I've committed to loving you, you know?
Okay. So this is amazing, because one of the things that I've been thinking about is and this is something that I've been working on, is like returning back to myself. is in order for me to have the experiences that I want, in order for me to live the kind of life that I want, I have to make room for me to like re-energize. I have to make room. Like I have to be in a headspace that allows for me to show up the way I want to show up, which means that I have to take care of myself. Going to this idea of self-love. It's like, am I eating well? Am I eating 3 meals a day? Am I drinking enough water? Am I getting exercise? Am I doing things that make me laugh and make me happy, right? Only when I have those things do I feel like I'm at my best.
Oh yeah.
And I think, the other day I was talking to a mutual friend of ours, and they were like really annoyed with someone. And I remember this quote I heard like years ago, but basically it was, if you knew someone's history, you would never get upset with them.
No, absolutely.
If you know someone's full story. Now, of course, I'm not saying that makes you a doormat.
No. But
it, surely I think it like takes some of the pressure away.
Yeah, exactly.
The way we kind of,
when you have more information, it's like you get to make a decision. It's like, okay, because I've had some situations like that where it's like all of a sudden I understand, someone will say something that and it'll put things in perspective, and then you start to see a person a little differently.
Yeah. I make it a point in every interaction, and I really mean this, in every interaction that I have, I am constantly looking for something in the other person that I love.
Yeah.
Like I'm constantly looking for it, because that is, for me, it's a much better headspace to be in. And it makes me feel good, because
I have moments like that.
Yeah.
And then I know you witness, there are times where we're hanging out and I just give you a hug.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I do that too. It's like, I'm all, oh my God, this is amazing. This is somebody that I really deeply care about. And so,
well, thank you for that. I love that.
Yeah. He's gonna cry.
No, I'm not gonna fucking cry.
Come here.
I'm not gonna.
Come here. You want to
let it flow? Don't fight it, Anthony. You see, you fucking threw me off, Louis.
Wait.
No, go ahead.
That was just my goal. My goal was to love you so hard that you lost track.
Oh, looking for things that I love in people. And I have to admit that there are instances where like I'm trying to do that with someone and it feels very difficult.
Oh.
And what I assume is happening is that person isn't allowing themselves to be kind of inquired into or like loved.
Oh, and
because they're not there.
It's a struggle.
Yeah, and what am I going to do with that?
Yeah, exactly.
What am I going to do with that? And I don't think it needs to be a profound experience every single time you're out there and interacting with people. But it's a better state of mind.
When I have to love people from across the street, like, I'm going to be there for you and try to give you an opportunity to get to a place where you are open to it, where you are open to the exchange. But, it's like, this is just...
I think about, for example, like people who think they hate gay people. You know what I mean? Yeah, people who think they hate gay people or they hate people of color. If we were all in a room and the lights were off and we were just being ourselves, like talking, we couldn't see each other, right?
And the lights were off.
Well, but by that I mean like we couldn't see. I had a professor once say to me, he said, the greatest sin that God committed on humanity was giving us the ability to see. Because he said that all of our biases are based on the things that we can see. That's what I mean by turn the lights off.
Okay.
And so I think if we took a bunch of people that thought they hated each other and we couldn't see, we were just sharing a meal and we were just talking about times we've had our heart broken or the things that we want for ourselves, I think we would all sound the same.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that there would be a sense of community. And I think that that's also the same, like when we're out in the world and we're interacting with people that we think we dislike. I think it's just so much easier. Actually, maybe it's not easier. Maybe let me pull away from that word, but I do think that connecting it feels smoother. It's a much easier way of life than fighting everything and everyone.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was looking for the
the what?
For the closing script.
Oh yeah, we're like wrapping up.
No, I have so many. No, we're good. We're still.
Well, I have the closing script too.
I do. It's like I'm just gonna look for the email that I sent you. The text.
Is it this one right here? I'm showing Louis while he's interrupting our episode to do things he could have done before we started. while we were putting things on the table. And so while Louis is doing that.
Well, I was setting up by myself because this one was
He was
there
not
saying,
setting up.
I thought you were dead already.
Okay, first of all, I
was wondering. I thought it magically plugged itself in.
No. I want everyone to know that I showed up early and I started moving things over to the studio space before Louis got here.
Okay, thank you for it.
And Louis, when he did walk over, he carried what? A blanket?
No, I didn't carry the blanket. You carried the blanket because I wanted you to look homeless.
That's not very nice.
I carried
That's not very
I carried
nice.
the mic stands. That wasn't very nice.
So are we landing the plane, Louis?
We are.
Do you have any closing thoughts?
Well, I don't know. It's like I think that because so I think what I also understand about love is that it grows.
If you water it.
It loves if you water. It grows if you water it, but also we have unlimited capacity for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the thing about it is like I don't have to. You know, I don't have to cut it up, and you know, I don't have to piecemeal it for people. I can just love people deeply. You know, as whatever, and that's interesting. It shows up when you have friends who don't fuck with each other. Like I have never been one to pick and choose. The other thing is, and this is a whole nother topic. You know how people have their strict codes. If I am dating someone, if I have dated someone, and it doesn't work out, and a good friend of mine wants to date them, they can have them. If I know if I've gotten past the situation. If I'm upset over someone else finding like something that, and I had an experience where. There was this wonderful girl. She was an au pair, Sarah, and we're still good friends. But we had one great weekend because I had this big crush on her, and we hung out for a bit. But she got along more with my friend. And one time I showed up at her place, and they were together. And I'm like, and so it was a little ego bruising. But I also realized it's like from that point on, it's like, you know what? I can't control what somebody feels.
No,
as much as I would like to, and also that they may have shaped how I am. It's like I'm not giving you my heart, so you can break it up and throw it in the garbage can.
Yeah, love is hard.
Anyway, that's just my thing. It's like it was so random and off the wall.
Hurts.
Love is hard, but love is easy too.
Yeah,
love is easy when you get to a place because I have friendships that are just so effortless. You know, they don't require work. You know, we have some friction. But we move past it because there's forgiveness in there. There's understanding. There's love and patience, and that, yeah, it's all good.
It's wonderful.
So I think we can land the plane.
Well, we can land the plane, but there was one other thing I wanted to say, and I think Krylon says to me, you know, Anthony, you can water the weeds or you can water the flowers, but whichever one you water is going to grow.
It's like that. It's like there are two
the dogs.
The two dogs, and the one that you feed
is the one that wins the fight.
But I have this thing when it said one is a crackhead and the other's a crackhead too. You're a crackhead. Okay. The Castro Country Club is a safe and sober community center for all people and a refuge for the LGBTQIA plus recovery community.
We provide programs and services that help change lives by supporting personal growth.
Our vision is to reduce the suffering of addiction by connecting people to community, opportunity, and support.
You can find more information, including all the ways to contact us at www.castrocountryclub.org/podcast.
And tune in every Monday when new episodes drop on wherever you listen to
podcasts. We'll see you at our next episode.
Absolutely.
Bye.